Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Soccer Cards and Chill. This is a podcast for you if you love the beautiful hobby of collecting cards and stickers. This podcast is put out by us here at Futera. If you don't know about Futera, we make, I would say this, very, very beautiful trading cards and have done for the past 30 years. Today, my guest is somebody who creates some outstanding content for the hobby. Very, very entertaining. He is he's a guy that focuses on both stickers and cards. And I think this podcast is going to be great for you if you are looking to create content and starting to produce content that people are going to watch and really enjoy consuming. And that guy is Ollie, or Paolo Panini.
My alter ego.
Your alter ego. Which one do you prefer?
None. I wish I was called Nigel.
Nigel's a good solid
From the
name.
Wild Thornberrys. That's my nickname at school for a long time. But
Nigel was?
Yeah.
Was it?
Never watched the Wild Thornberrys?
No, I don't know what that is. What is that?
It's a cartoon about an eccentric family that went travelling. We've gone off to a weird tangent already. Okay, back on the cards.
I don't think that's going to be the last time that happens today.
No, I'm going to be all the comments going to be Nigel now. There we go.
Yeah. Does anybody know from your audience the Nigel thing or not?
I'm sure they will. Wild Thornberrys. It was like Nickelodeon back in the...
No, but do they know that people called you Nigel?
They do now.
Okay, they do now. So that might be something that catches on. But no, thanks for coming in.
Paolo, Ollie, whatever's good.
Okay, well, thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Looking forward to doing this. I've been watching you on TikTok for quite some time.
Too kind. Yeah.
Must say I'm a big fan of the moustache.
Yeah, that kind of happened by accident, I think. Some might say it's a marketing ploy because it makes you stand out.
Yeah.
It's not that. Everyone's going to be growing a moustache now. Some say I'm just trying to be a hipster. The truth is, no one knows. It just kind of happened by accident and became sort of a brand kind of thing. Yeah, almost a logo.
Yeah, like your identity. That's smart as a marketer. I get that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't want everyone to go out there and start, growing weird moustaches or long eyebrows or something. But it's a tactic that seems to work. People recognise me. I've been to football matches and people go, "Oh, you're that TikTok guy." So I suppose from a brand and marketing technique, it's not the worst thing to have done.
But now you're stuck with it.
Well, yeah, I think I can't get rid of it now. That's the thing. So, any lovers out there, you've got no choice. It's me or the tash.
Have you had any comments from that from like a potential partner? I'm into you, but the moustache is putting me off. Or do you get it the other way where they're like, I really love that moustache?
A bit of both. I can't say too much about my love life. I've got to keep it under the table, quite literally.
Okay, right, yes. We'll move on quickly.
Want to upset anyone.
I don't want to get you into trouble.
Oh, exactly. I know there's people out there I've said things to that might not be true.
Okay, moving on swiftly, but some like it, some don't. Then
absolutely.
Well, you make, as I've already alluded to, Ollie, you make some really, really good content. I genuinely enjoy watching it because I think you've got lots of charisma and you're easy to watch and you're funny as well.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
What do your nan think about the language, though? You're inclined to use some spicy language.
My nan hasn't a clue what TikTok is. She thinks it's a clock of some sort. But they have seen some of the videos. And let's put it, over the last 10, 15 years, I've been warning them up to kind of, they know what I'm like. And they know it's just turning it on. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's a character, but it's like once you push that go live button, you're on. You're Paolo, if that makes sense. I think this is where people get confused. They expect me to be like this in real life, or fair play. Some people think I'm a bit of a knob. Fine, but I'm not like that all the time. As we were speaking before we recorded, quite normal, I think, apart from the tash and the and the love life. But yeah, push that go live button. It just comes out and I don't know what I'm going to say, to be honest, but I think that's part of the thrill and why a lot of people watch our live streams, particularly on TikTok. As I said, the numbers are quite impressive for a channel of our size and they keep going back. We've had the same audience for over 2 years, so yeah, it seems to work.
It does, and it's funny because when you turned up, although I know that the whole point of putting on, not an act, but you want to be entertaining when you're on stream, and you are a little bit more mild, I would say, in real life. You can, hi, Addy, all right. I mean, you were like, hey, what's up?
That's the thing, yeah, absolutely. It feels like that. It'd be exhausting.
Exactly.
I'll probably live till I was like 39 if that was the case.
Mind you, some of the stories that you've got, it's
to be fair, I've lived a life.
Yeah,
but a few lives. But yeah, you're quite right. And that's the thing. I think where there's a common misconception. I come from like a background in doing a bit of radio. I was a tour guide back in the day. I've always my job's always focused around either presenting something or leading something, and you're not going to do that if you're like, oh, hello, look what we've got today. It's all about putting on a show for me. I don't like the term breaker as such, because I don't think that's really what I do. I think I like to put on a show and get people who wouldn't maybe have got involved before, who like football or whatever sport we may be getting into. They go, well, this seems a bit of fun. I'll watch it for a minute or two, and then before you know it, they're buying and getting involved. So for me, I call it putting on a show.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of effort into the music and the sound effects, and I wouldn't say it's scripted, but I've got a plan I kind of meticulously go through before I go live, and you kind of get a nervous build up of energy. It's a bit like going on stage, I guess, is the only thing I can correlate it to. But
well, it is. It's like a virtual stage.
It is, and I take a lot of pride in like being entertaining, and I get a lot of great feedback saying I don't like the best compliment I can get, which I'm thankful I do get quite often. Not to be too arrogant, although that sounded remarkably arrogant, didn't it? But I don't like football, but I like watching you.
That's the ultimate compliment you
really
can get.
Narcissistic, but for someone who didn't have many friends at school and was kind of a bit lost at college and university, that's a fantastic compliment to get, because it just gives someone who was quite timid and shy, now in my early 30s, massive confidence boost. I don't like football, but I like watching you. That just kind of it rescinds and kind of rejuvenates that shy kid at school and goes, you know what, people do fucking like you.
Yeah, do you know, there's a bit I want to unpack with that. So I think that gives, I imagine if you were listening to this and you weren't, because I had you down as an extrovert, right? But it sounds like you're not a natural extrovert.
No, not really.
You like to perform,
yes,
but that doesn't necessarily mean you're a natural extrovert, right?
Yeah.
And so if anyone's listening to this and they're like, I'm a little bit shy, I don't think I could ever do it. Well, Ollie's your example of maybe that you can, right?
I was scared to pick up the phone. If there's someone's ringing the phone, I'll be like, unknown number. No, I wouldn't cross the road if there was someone who looks a bit dodgy across from it, which I know is a massive judgmental thing, but you know what I mean.
Well, I mean that's also your survival.
Yeah, exactly. It's that
you don't want to have none of that, because then you just go and get yourself into trouble. I suppose.
Exactly. It's just exactly fight or flight kind of thing. But I was a massive introvert in my early days, especially. But then I think maybe we'll go into it later on. But when you kind of travel and go on a few adventures like I've been on, you kind of just open up and go, well, if I can survive those things, you can kind of do anything. Yeah.
No, for sure. So my question watching your stuff is, because I think it's really important, because you're not constantly opening highly valuable products. They're very cool, and I was telling you how much I enjoyed, especially the 90s stuff, 90s stickers. Of course, we're a trading card brand here. Futera made stickers in the past, but we can still talk about other brands. And Panini stickers there's something about them from the 90s that I just love, like you do. Opening them on the playground with the boys, trying to find like Gus Poyet or whatever, having an Everton shiny badge was like the ultimate for me. So I love watching those videos, and that's why I think that's why I wanted to get you on, because it's a massive credit, because you're not like opening really high quality premium stuff.
No, not at all. No.
That's like, you'd think people are in there to, they want to get it, they want to flip it, whatever they want to invest. You're opening stickers that can be found, I imagine some of them relatively easy, not so much the older stuff now. And you've built this massive audience. So the first question is like, where'd you go and get all these packs from, these unopened packs?
Yeah, so it's a lot. For shorter story is, it started from a podcast. So it would be no secret that people that watch the channel know it's nostalgic football. It's all 70s, 80s, 90s, and noughties. I love the stories in football, and we were speaking beforehand about how football nowadays is a bit too systemic and systematic, and you can kind of predict what's going to happen before the games happen. Back in the 90s and noughties in particular, you still had the drinking culture, you still had individuals and star players. So yeah, we decided to do a noughties football podcast. Done pretty well, got in the 2 top 100 sports podcasts in Europe. It was in the top 10 in Australia and New Zealand for some reason, still don't know why. And we got on a Panini expert to talk about football stickers. And
Who's that?
He's called Greg Lounsdown.
I know Greg, yeah, he's good lad. We're going to get him on the show.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Just an absolute wizard. He's written lots of books about Panini and stuff, and it was basically my Bible for a few years, and I got really, really into it. And that's what started the TikTok channel from that. We used to do an ending segment to the podcast called What's in Your Panini, where we'd open a classic pack and then give it a Top Gear style rating out of 10. And then at the end of the series, one of our guests would have won the leaderboard. So it all started from there, really. And then I've kind of built up a network over last 3 or 4 years from buyers and sellers in Germany, the US, in Colombia, all people who have a similar fondness for me of the football stickers and cards from the 70s, 80s, 90s and noughties, who've got collections and sealed boxes, and even as far as Australia. So it's just building up this network over time. So
you'll just go to them and say, I'm looking for this, an open box of this specific product, or they'll come to you and say, I've got this, do you want it? Right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of Instagram messages, a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of Facebook messages as well. It might have been like an off the cuff purchase off eBay, and then I've messaged them to see what else they've got, and then they go, well, follow me on Instagram and whatever else, and you kind of build friendships and relationships through that. And that's pretty much the secret to it, to be honest. It's been a lot of research as well, just to find like Maradona's rookie, for example. It's one of the most popular videos we put on TikTok. His rookie has sold over $500,000 in a decent graded 10 style from the 1979-80 packs. So we've tried to source a few of those sealed packs, because I think if you're going to find a Maradona rookie that's going to be worth grading, it's going to have to come from a sealed pack, right, to be in the best condition. So we sourced a few of those packs from like Italy, from China, to open on the old TikTok. To no avail. We've not found a Maradona yet, but you do find some interesting stuff. Like a Marcelo Lippi was in there, and some Ray Wilkins was in there from AC
bless
Milan
him.
back in the day, 79, 80. So these packs are really, really rare.
Yeah,
quite expensive, those ones, to be fair. But there's something magical about the potential of what you can find, or not knowing what you're going to find. Which, going back to Greg as well, which is why his books are so like invaluable, because it kind of tells you what you can expect to find in these packs, and that gives you that insider knowledge, which has helped definitely towards the channel. If it wasn't for him, I don't think the channel would be a success.
Oh, that's lovely. I'll send that. I'll clip that. And send it
He knows. Hopefully, he knows that.
Does it? Yeah, I'm sure he will, but I will send him a link to this. What motivates you to collect? Prior to doing the stuff online, why did you get into this?
I mean, I've always collected since the 90s. So my first album was the 98 album, the Orange Packs, which we do on our channel as well. Wink, wink.
You can share as much as you want.
Excellent. No worries. So that was the first album I filled, and I used to go to. I'm from Exeter in Devon. I used to go to like swap meets back in the day, and it was in a cow shed, just full of piss and like shit and all this like just ungodly stuff. It's like it was the worst place to do a swap shop. Going to get a load of kids and potentially give them foot and mouth, which was rife back in the
late 90s.
Yeah,
late 90s.
So. Just going to swap shops like that, and then when you get older, and as we were discussing as well, with the kind of
that's right. I was just nipping behind us.
Nah, that's all good.
So is it my mic, Kyle? Okay, right, no worries. Oh, did I knock it out the way? Right, okay. Hopefully people would have been able to hear me in between. But thanks, mate. No worries. Carry on. Sorry,
yeah.
So the swap shops.
So the swap shops back in the 90s, and then I've always had a keen interest in like World Cup. So Panini obviously became famous through their World Cup series that started in 1970, and that's kind of maybe been the forefront of why the World Cup series and cards now are still quite valuable. But yeah, love that 90s nostalgia and noughties nostalgia as well. And
so were you collecting like back in the day, or something? Yeah, okay, right.
The 98 set was the first. 2000 set I collected. 2002 World Cup.
So you were avidly into it then. That hasn't come retrospectively,
massively.
Right? I got you.
Massively.
Yeah.
And then you kind of grow out of it, I guess. But then it goes back to the thing of that nostalgic as well. I think football today is just so boring. Back in the day, if you're Ronaldinho's, your Gazzers, your whoever it may be, your Mark Vidukas, like Stelios Giannakopoulos, all these random...
Canio.
Yeah, exactly, Canio.
Yeah.
These rogue players who are not the most likeable to people, but they've just done magical things that you just don't see these days.
By the way, Di Canio is lovely. Is
he?
Yeah, he's really, really nice. But yes, a lot of them are, incidentally.
Questionable, but yeah.
of course, he's got a checkered past, but in terms of a person to be around. But yeah, no, I agree. There is and that was what I think makes that time so appealing as well, because they were more, you didn't know what you were going to get. I mean, my hero, Duncan Ferguson, again, a very checkered past.
Absolutely.
If you want to look at it through like a moral lens, some of it's not ideal. However, what can we say about these people? They were characters. They had an edge to them, right? And that was something that I think resonated with people, and they still felt like they were like us. Whereas now, I mean, I don't really know what any of these people think about anything, really. So,
yeah, they were individualized, and they'd say stupid things and do
crazy things.
But
Yeah.
then on the pitch on a Saturday, they do a Trevor Sinclair do an overhead kick from outside the box, and that's been immortalised in time. The game fixtures at the weekend, I couldn't remember what happened at all. It was literally a couple of days ago. But a few of the things that happened in the 90s and noughties and before are kind of immortalised in that kind of grainy TV footage. That's forever replayed on shows today. The FA Cup final day, they show the greatest goals of the FA Cup, and I don't know if any of them from the last 10 years would make it.
I'm not sure if any of the FA Cup finals from like the last 10 or 15 years would really be that etched in people's minds, bar the clubs that maybe won it when they didn't expect to win it.
Absolutely.
But there aren't too many of them anymore. Just in response to something, so when I was at a show the other week, I was asking this question and I wanted to put it to you. What do you say to people, as you're in your 30s now, what do you say to people who say this is a little bit childish? Like, why are you doing this? That was a question I was asking collectors at an event recently, and I was getting their answers. Not something that I believe, obviously working for Futera.
Yeah.
I love the hobby, I think it's great, but how would you respond to people that maybe say things like that?
It is childish. I don't care. It's like, what do you want me to do about it? There's people collecting Pokemon cards. I think football, that's the thing, it goes down to football. Is football childish? It can be, but ultimately not, because the average season ticket holder is over 40. So, I think it's just a gateway drug into football for children to get involved in football, isn't it? Collecting cards and stuff. And then with the modern Futera cards and other brands, etc., they're really expensive. So no child's going to be collecting those, with their pocket money. I don't know how much they're getting paid if their pocket money's in a few £100. Certainly, inflation wasn't with my pocket money of £5 a week. We'd never afford to get that stuff.
You'd struggle to probably get a pack of stickers now.
Yeah, exactly. But it's childish? Maybe, but I mean, there's worse things to be doing. Pokemon. No, checking.
That is not the views of Futera. No, I thought I'd ask because I just came to
Disney. Grown men collecting Disney cards. I mean, and that's not, again, no offense, but I just want to never understand. I just don't get it. But, I think, is it childish? If you want to call it childish, but it's just, there's lots of people into it. There's lots of things you could call childish, like UFC could be childish to an extent because two men throwing each other about in a ring. Again, a lot of people are going to hate me for saying that as well. Controversial, this podcast, if nothing else so far. But I don't know. I think it's there's lots of things you can say are childish in the context of being an adult. But I think if there's one thing the world is lacking at the moment, it's a bit of innocent fun and not being afraid to say what you enjoy. And guilty as charged. I enjoy football stickers and cards.
Yeah, that was kind of like very similar to the response. I just thought it'd be an interesting question to ask collectors. I wanted to see if I could rile any of them up, but it just showed how lovely they all were because they were like, "Yeah, I'll take your point." And I was like, "Wait, no, it's not my opinion. I'm playing devil's advocate." And there's a little bit of content we did at the London Card Show recently. So going back then to creating content, what's your? I mean, you have alluded to this already, but what does that creative process look like? You mentioned you were putting together a script, and how do you do that when you don't know what stickers you're going to pull from your packs?
Well, as to putting together a script for the live streams and stuff? Or?
Well, not so much. Just any kind of content that you produce. What does that process look like prior to hitting record?
Yeah, I suppose it's coming up with ideas because a lot of the stuff we do is also classic pack orientated. So the videos that tend to do well are the ones from like the 70s, 80s, and the 90s and stuff. And it is pretty much coming up with original ideas, and you just got to accept straight off the bat some things are going to work, some things aren't, but if you don't try anything you'll never know. That's very much my process, and I think there's no such thing as a bad idea as well. Just be willing to try absolutely anything, but also make it original. I think a lot of people on TikTok especially and YouTube are guilty of maybe taking someone else's idea and just flatline copying it, which is never my intention and never wanted to do that and never will do that. I'll kind of live and die by the sword, if that were to make sense. So a lot of the videos we've done, I'll just think of them and then try and plan them out. So, for example, the Maradona rookie, the premise, we're looking for a Maradona rookie. This is how much it could be worth and has sold for. Here's a pack from 45 years ago. So you're just going to break it down into kind of easy to digest segments as if the most intolerant person was watching it who's never seen football cards, never seen you. If you were new to this, how would you make it easily digestible for someone to watch? So step one, this is how much it sold for. Step 2, this pack's from 45 years ago. That should hook them in. And then you get into opening it and discussing the players and whatever you find in those old packs, for example. But I personally like to create something that I would want to watch myself. So, and hopefully, if enough people are into classic football and nostalgic football, as I am, then hopefully it should have a bit of an audience, right? Which is proved true over the last few years. Other videos we've done is that we've packed a classic player in a real pack from USA 94, for example. Like we packed Franco Baresi, and then we tried to pack him on FIFA. And then that video done over 1 million views, I think. So stuff like that, you just keep trying until something blows up straight away. I think on TikTok we were quite fortunate. Our first 2 videos done really, really well, and then that kind of grew the audience relatively quickly over the next year. So
it's iteration, because you constantly like, right, okay, this worked, this didn't work. But as you rightly point out, you've got to try things, which I like that, kind of like, because I think sometimes when you're planning content, you could be like, let's try and get all our ducks in order for this. It's going to be exactly like this, and you're going to say this, and I'm going to do this. Is going to happen, but it doesn't work like that.
No.
So that's really cool. And then what I like as well is you're speaking to people's natural emotions. So. And human instincts. So it doesn't matter whether or not you necessarily like football stickers.
That's it.
If I come across your video on TikTok and the first thing you say is there could be a sticker in this pack, I mean, most people have heard of Maradona, and it could be worth this much money. I'm like, wait, what? There's a sticker out there that's worth that much. I'm going to, what's it? Let's see if he finds it. And then you've got the discovery thing, so you've got your hook. I don't know whether you're doing this intentionally.
Yeah, I suppose
so. You are to an extent.
To an extent, yeah. I've got that kind of radio producing background to an extent, so I kind of know how to introduce and present things, I guess. But that's just instinctive to me. I don't know if you can sort of teach that to an aspect, but there's certainly hooks. I think if you try too hard, I mean, like, so out of if I put 10 videos out a week, 9 of them will be not great, but 1 of them will do really well and get people in. And I think it's just being willing to accept that not everything's going to be fantastic is where people sometimes fall down, because they can beat themselves up a lot about some videos not performing or some streams not going well. Just crack on, get on to the next one.
Yeah, like you fall into that danger of trying to be a perfectionist, so you kind of just don't do anything.
Exactly.
Which is I like your approach, mate. You've just given it a go, and look, and you've reaping the benefits, right?
Well, absolutely. We've done one series I was really looking forward to doing, and it didn't perform well at all. So we opened classic packs in 1998.
Yeah.
And we built a starting 11 from the random players we found, put them into an old Championship manager, and simulate the season. I thought it was a fantastic idea. Then you're going through the season. I got sacked and replaced by Glenn Hoddle, and then sacked and replaced by Jack Charlton. So it didn't go well. But
by anybody,
it made good content. Maybe it would have worked better as a YouTube video, but for TikTok, it just didn't. Like, it got maybe 20,000 views collectively. Didn't do amazing, but it got more comments than any other content we put out, because people were engaged in it and interested in it. And then it got into Football Manager crowd as well, going, "Oh, we should do this again with the 2006 World Cup squad," or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it's definitely engaging. So you got content that's you can just kind of clickbait it, and you got content that's going to be more engaging, kind of more personable, which like the Championship Manager stuff or the FIFA stuff is going to be. Well, you try and do a mixture, yeah.
Yeah, well, what I like about that, this is just one massive compliment from me, Ollie, isn't it? But what I like about that, mate, is that you're bringing in other audiences, which is massive for the hobby as well, mate. That's really important for what we're all doing here, because you're saying, look, I've got something for you, Football Manager guys, I've got something for you, FIFA guys, and there's already naturally a lot of overlap anyway, but there'll be some people that play Football Manager avidly that maybe haven't got back into stickers or cards, and maybe they did when they were a kid, and you're part of that process of bringing them back into the hobby.
Well, absolutely. If you think about how many football fans there are, how many of them know that Futera exists, for example?
Exactly.
Probably.
I
wouldn't be able to put them.
I wouldn't know. I mean, worldwide, it's a very low percentage.
Exactly.
Of course,
so there's that many people,
and the same for the other brands, and
absolutely,
of course
for anyone else.
Yeah.
So there's such a massive audience there already. Just trying to bring the two together, and I think there is certainly work to be done there.
So your biggest platform's TikTok.
Yeah.
How bullish are you on TikTok moving forward for hobby content creators? And have you got any specific advice for people that want to get started on TikTok as a channel specifically?
TikTok rewards good content. if that makes sense. There's no secret to getting started on it. It's just do it. I think people are maybe and ah about it and think about it too much. I've had a lot of people say to me, I want to get started on TikTok, or I want to create YouTube videos on whatever, card related, and it's just to do it, and you'll learn as you go along. I've been doing this for 2-3 years, and as I said, we're getting to a point now where our live streams get between 25 and 35,000 people over 4 hours, which is pretty decent for a poxy card and classic pack opening channel. It's not bad.
It's great numbers, mate.
And to get to that level, I think you'll find out yourself. It's just do it. I mean, we started off just doing it on my phone, and then over time I've added like decent professional cameras, not too dissimilar to this. We've got decent Rode microphones. I've got a mixing board. You just add these things over time as you get more and more experience, and you learn and you kind of research and stuff. But for me, that was the angle I always wanted to turn it into a show. As I said earlier, I think people engage with a show rather than someone who's just got their phone kind of doing it half-heartedly. But if you put in the effort, you'll reap the rewards, and there's no secret to it. Just give it a go and try it, and try different avenues, and try and do something that someone's not done before. I think with cards like Futera and with the other brands and modern cards coming out with the potential classic autographs you can still get Pele autographs. You can still get Paul Gascoigne autographs. There is so much scope to create good content there. I've not even touched on that kind of stuff. There's so much you could do. I mean, you could, just as simple as here's an idea if you're watching. My hero growing up was Paul Gascoigne. Can we find him in a pack of Futera? Done. And imagine if you did. That video's going to blow up, right?
And then imagine if you find an autograph card for Paul and it tells you exactly where and when he signed it. Well, exactly. And you know that Paul Gascoigne has held that card. There's something quite cool about that.
Exactly. He's held that card, he's signed that card, and a player like him means a lot to people of a certain generation as well. So you've got that generation of old man TikTok, as I call it. You've got that
millennial TikTok.
Exactly. You've got those people locked in, and it's that concept's relatively simple, and you could do it tonight on your phone. And that's the other ease of TikTok as well. You didn't have to have all the bells and whistles I've got. You could just do it on your phone if you wanted to, and it could do really well. And a lot of the videos of people just interviewing people on the street, who's your favourite player growing up, and they'll just show a short clip of them scoring a goal. Those get millions and millions of views. Again, no one's really incorporated. I'm giving away all the secrets here. No one's really incorporated cards into that, and they could do quite easily. Like open this pack, who you can find. We found David Villa or Carlos Puyol. Here's a clip of them winning a World Cup. Yeah, just very short, clicky content that's going to get views and likes.
The stuff I've thought about doing that, incidentally, because I think that'd be really nice, and actually, saying like, do you know how much this card is worth? And like, what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then even maybe giving it to them, being like generosity in the street.
Oh, 100%.
It's a cool concept. Something I've got to look at for us, because I think that'd work really well for our cards because of how pretty they are. I imagine someone would be like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? Gold-plated framed one. What's this? This is a trading card. I didn't think about that. What about because I know you go live on TikTok, but what about some of like the breaking platforms? What advice have you got to people if they want to launch on whatnot in terms of how to create a really engaging live show? Because we've had Adam from Yorkshire Cards on this show, and he had some great advice, but I'm intrigued to get yours as well.
I think it's just looking, to a certain extent, looking professional. I think you can tell the difference between people who put in a lot of effort and people who are just doing it on a whim potentially. Again, from day one, we've always had a face cam. We've always had a clear microphone, because I think if you can't hear what someone's saying, someone's going to click off pretty quickly. It's different for me, I guess, to a certain extent, because I try and put on a bit of a show, and make it entertaining more so than be the most knowledgeable person about all the new cards and stuff. But I suppose to that aspect, depending what you're in there for, if you've got that knowledge already, you're onto a winner, really. But I think it's creating good branding as well. It's quite an important strategy, because people remember the logo, remember the face, and are more likely to return. So, do
you mean like putting some cash into getting something maybe produced properly?
Yeah, and it's not too expensive. You go on Fiverr or all these kind of websites to get a quick logo made. It's relatively cost effective, and getting a decent backboard and screen and something to look at, maybe a decent camera or phone if that's what you're going to use. If it looks the part, I think people will stick around, and you want people to remember you, right? So if you've got a decent name and a decent kind of logo, I think people will be able to find that, or maybe they'll see it on Facebook, they'll see it on TikTok, they'll see it on Twitter, and they go, "Oh, I know those guys." It's about creating a kind of something to remember you by. So obviously we're called Paolo Panini. We've purposely not put cards in there because we want to be able to brand ourselves out to do other things as well. I think too many people are called UK Card Breakers or Card Breakers UK, or
so you'd be like Colin Cards is coming next, or
I said
Keith Cards.
Yeah, exactly. I think try and be a bit more innovative with the names, and then I think you can remember. I think Paolo Panini works pretty nice. It's a bit of a pun on Paolo Maldini. I think it kind of works.
It does.
People remember it.
Suits your character as well, right?
Yeah.
I can imagine. At first, I thought he's just called Paolo. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean, with the beard and whatever.
And the
moustache.
Italian heritage. Nope, as Irish as they come. But yeah, making something to remember them by. Really, I think again, you don't have to have all the equipment I've got, or someone like Adam's got either, or whatever the setup may be. But I think looking semi-professional is a good start to engage people, and having a good logo and name which is easily kind of repeated on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, wherever else you're going to be, is going to do nothing but favors for you as well.
Yeah. What about like building a relationship with your audience directly? Do you do that? Do you have like your guys that you always see in there, and when you name drop them, and do you build a relationship with them that way as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've quite a loyal following, especially on TikTok, and a fair bit on Whatnot as well, and other breaking platforms. I think it is just becoming personal with them as well, knowing what teams they support, knowing maybe if they've had like a one-of-one pull or something amazing before, referencing that, going, "Oh, you lucky, what so and so, you got this last time, and you only spent a $5." You know, just kind of being cheeky and playful with them. I think is definitely my approach. People are going to be different to me, and that's their prerogative, and so they should be as well. But yeah, definitely build a relationship and being personable with people. I think will keep them coming back, because it's a bit like working at a post office to a certain degree. I think you keep going back to the same cashier if they remember your name and ask, "Oh, how was your holiday?" Kind of that kind of thing. So I do try and do that with the regulars in particular. But being personal people, there's no secret to that.
No, yeah, I think that really helps as well, doesn't it? Because they feel like they get to know you then, in a way.
They do know me. Yeah, that's the thing. There's no bones about it. It's no kind of false pretense here. I do know them and speak to them regularly. We've got Discord channel, WhatsApp groups. I'm pretty an open book, really, and I'll probably tell them more stuff than I should. But no secrets on the Paolo Panini channels.
But that makes you endearing as a content creator as well. No, it does, because they feel like they do feel like they genuinely know you. They watch you, you entertain them, and then they've got that direct line into you as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, the future's personal brands. I think you know, you think about some of the biggest brands in the world now, and they're built around individuals in a way.
Yeah.
Let's think about Tesla and Elon Musk, or Facebook and Zuckerberg, or the stuff that Gary Vee does. You know, and I think that gives you a bit of an advantage if you're purely a content creator. One question that just came to my mind though: so you've got a Discord channel, you've got YouTube, you've got TikTok, you've got WhatsApp. I think you said you've probably got eBay stores as well, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. How do you keep on top of all this?
Not very well is the answer. No, it's I've got like pretty mad ADHD, as you can probably like come across in the streams when I'm going hell for leather, which makes me like quite weirdly organised.
Right.
I'm a massive list maker, so when I'm not live, I'm not live nowhere near amount as a lot of other people who do it 24/7, and that's for a reason, because I want to try and keep things updated and give myself that time to make sure I'm not going to be flapping or stressing about anything later on during the week.
Do you think that gives you an advantage as well, though, indirectly, because you're not there's not overkill?
Yeah, so we've purposely only stream on TikTok once or twice a week. It gives people that anticipation. I wouldn't be arrogant enough to say it gives them something to look forward to, but I think if you've done it all the time, it takes a lot of energy to do those streams, because they're 5, 6, sometimes 7 hours long. You've constantly got new people coming in. As I said, we've had like 45,000 people in over a course of 6 hours before. That's a lot of new faces to kind of reintroduce, a bit like a radio show. You kind of reintroduce who you are, because you've got new people coming in all the time and what you're doing.
And they ask the same questions.
Exactly, yeah. So it takes a lot of energy to kind of, it does wipe me out afterwards. You've got that adrenaline buzz, and it takes a while to get to sleep. But I like to prepare a lot more probably than I let on. them being quite whimsical and flimsy and off the cuff as I am on streams. A lot of those things are kind of prepared in advance. Not the one-liners, in case people are wondering. But yeah, that's again probably a bit of good advice there. Is over-prepare as well, or prepare to fail, as the old saying goes. But yeah, it's something I've kind of always been that way inclined.
Yeah, what do you do with all the stickers that because you open lots of packs of stickers, and are all of them already pre-purchased by people, or are some of them you just opening for the content? And then what do you do with all those stickers?
I've got a massive office full of thousands upon thousands. Everything that's on the TikTok channel is all content-based. It's all stuff I've purchased and opened myself with the intent of creating gold. But yeah, the ones on the live stream are ones that people have purchased, and we kind of open it for them, have a chat and a laugh about the players in there. I've got quite an absurd knowledge of like weird 90s players as well, and kind of their transfer history and maybe a famous goal they've scored, etc. And that all helps feed into the live streams as well, because I think other people who are doing it on a whim potentially are just doing it for the sake of doing it or for financial reasons, and they don't know the players. I saw someone, I'm not going to shout them out obviously, but they pronounced Slovenja. I was
right.
Like, it made me wince a bit, because they've clearly just seen what someone else has been breaking or someone else has been doing.
Is that like how it's written in like their language?
Yeah, it is, but
right.
Slovenja, then it's just like, I don't know. I think if you put a bit of research into knowing who the players are, reading the chat lists, and kind of knowing a bit about what you're doing rather than just trying to make a quick buck, I think people can see through that quite easily. I think that goes into the preparations, what I was saying earlier as well. So my preparation is, again, going through the checklist, making sure I know who the players are. You're not going to remember it all the time, but it certainly does help.
It does. It does. What's your knowledge like around the year 2007?
Why? You got a quiz?
No, you've just reminded me.
Go on.
Over there, we might have to cut. I'm going to venture out. I've got a pack of World Football 2007,
nice.
and I thought, why not open?
See, what's going to happen? You're going to open a load of Wolves players.
No. Right. So just before we open these, so this is the pack here. For those of you that are listening, I've got World Football 2007 trading cards. Nice gold foil pack. Now I have to caveat this. Those of you that have been collecting Futera for a long time will know that our collections previously, I don't think, with respect, we're up to they're not the same as unique what we produce now. In fact, even our goal cards or whatever, they're thicker. They're just I'd say the production value has just gone up massively. That's no disrespect to Futera back then, but it's just on another level now. Good. So I won't be able to take that into consideration if you don't know what Futera are like. These are old cards from 2007 when things have changed. But I want you to open that for us, and I want you to tell me a little bit about what you find.
Starting off, sealed for 17 years?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yes, I know, right?
So I was starting college in 2007. Sealed for 17 years.
Oh, I can't believe it's 17
wow.
years. 2000. I was the same as you. I just started college because we're a very similar age, aren't we?
Yeah, I think you're doing just
before you do that, what can you find in here? We've got.
Let's have a look. So memorabilia card, nice, clear, 1 of 1 framed autograph card, 1 in 100. Mate, have you got any more of these? This is great for the channel. Fair play.
We'll see what we can do after.
Can I show these to a camera or something?
Yeah, you can do. I mean, for those listening, it'd be ideal.
Yeah, for sure.
I can see that back one's a cool one, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
So start off with Wayne Rooney. There
you
go, which is a pretty good
Wayne.
start. It's not bad at all, is it? Not bad at all.
So no, that's not that's a fairly early card. I mean, he burst onto the scene in 2004, didn't he?
Yeah, at the Euros 2004, the first game against France, and that is the Euro 2004 kit as well, if I'm not mistaken, from wearing the iconic number 9. Very nice cards, these. I've got to say, really do like them.
See, they're still thick. They're not as thick as they are now.
These would do well online, I think. There we go, not bad at all. Coming up with the Australian wizard, Everton, your
yes,
team,
the main
Tim
fella.
Cahill. Very good header of the ball as well.
Incredible, considering that he's not that tall.
Absolutely leapt up. Oh, a bit of a cult player. Sidney Govou, remember him?
I don't.
Playing for
Who's
Lyon back in the day.
Lyon.
So the Frenchman. Played for Lyon, won 7 back-to-back Ligue 1 titles. So before PSG dominated the 2010s, Lyon dominated the noughties in French football, and he won 7 back-to-back league titles. Part of that Lyon side with Benzema, Ben Arfa, Juninho, Coupe in goal, and Govou was on the wing. Very, very underrated player, to be fair. Not bad at all.
Some big names in that side.
Names. I'll tell you what, nothing but bangers in there. Nothing but bangers.
Who's this?
Esteban Cambiasso.
Cambiasso.
Had that freak season with Leicester before they won the league. Talk about weird hairlines.
But that's a reference to before we started filming, by the way.
But what a play. He scored that. This is from the 2006 World Cup. He scored that goal, which was about 70-odd passes against Mexico.
Right.
When they won 6-0. So, pretty decent.
That's what I mean about hanging on, by the way, with that hairline.
100%, yeah, quite literally.
Just let it go.
Emmanuel Adebayor, probably the most famous Togo player of all time.
So that jersey, or maybe not that one from that specific picture, but I had that in the office.
Oh, really?
It's gone into one of our memorabilia cards from around that time. And what I liked about it is with Togo is it was because I mean all of our stuff we validate it, but it was so worn, Ollie, and it was like they must use them multiple times for Togo. I can't imagine they're in a position where they can, or that point anyway, could do like.
Well, that was their only World Cup.
Was it?
That was their only World Cup to date, and they played in the African Cup of Nations the same year.
Right.
I'm pretty sure in saying 2006.
But it was very worn, very worn. Look, it must have been worn multiple times, I think, is my point.
Fair enough, but what a striker. Again, doesn't really get mentioned these days, but was a very good striker. For Japan, Kamano. Okay. Which I'm pretty sure is a robe of some sort. No, it's a Camino, isn't it?
Camino.
One of the two. Pretty sure he played left back Germany for Bayern Leverkusen. I could be wrong. Maybe that was someone else.
Great knowledge,
Can't
mate.
say I know too much. Alvaro.
I've put you on the spot and you've really delivered.
Hey, I know what I'm talking about. Like and follow for more. No, Recoba. Not to be confused. This is Alvaro Recoba. You may remember from Inter Milan.
Right.
A bit of a cult hero in the 90s and Uruguayan, absolutely. Again, along Christian Vieri. In that kind of Inter Milan squad, he kind of replaced R9 at Inter Milan.
So would have he been playing up front? Is he a forward?
Yeah.
So he'd have been playing up front with like Forlan back in the day, would he?
No, with Vieri, R9, Cruz, Adriano.
But at international levels, Forlan.
Oh, international level, yeah, he would have been Forlan as well. Juanito. I don't think this is someone I don't know. Juanito.
What? We found someone that you don't know.
Juanito. No idea. Cadiz, born in. Anyone remember him? Looks like the Spanish Tim Cahill. Honestly say I have no idea. Juanito, and then leaving it with a controversial one who's if you know where this man is, contact Interpol. I'm not going to go into it.
Yes, allegedly
has
done some funky stuff,
multiple crimes.
So you like them? So I wanted to
good, yeah.
Crack
I didn't know you can get autographs in those.
Of course, yeah. I believe so on the back. Yeah, we weren't lucky in this pack, but again, I think that it is nice to show our heritage as a brand,
crazy.
right?
100%.
Again, what we do now is on a different level, but they're very cool. So I want to ask you one final question before we wrap up, and you can have these, and maybe we can talk about you doing some more Futera stuff on your channel. It's very hard to get hold of our old stuff, as you can imagine, but maybe there's things that I can do, pull some strings. You're sitting in front of someone here that works for a brand, a publisher. What do you think a company like Futera can do over the coming years to continue to help to grow the hobby, support content creators like you, and continue to create really nice and engaging projects?
Well, we all know you've got links to some sensational footballers, right? So I think it goes back to what I was saying with the content ideas as well. I think we're going to reach that nostalgic boom. In the 90s, we've had a boom of like Britpop, Oasis, the Spice Girls, and obviously that classic 90s era football. I think the noughties boom is probably started and is going to take off even more in the next few years. So in terms of like Futera and working with content creators, I think those collaborations with former footballers, trying to find them in a classic pack or trying to find them in a Futera box, and just the chances of that happening would be quite funny to watch live, and you can kind of incorporate it into a kind of a jovial interview kind of style as well, which is what we're trying to do in the future on the TikTok, kind of sneak behind the curtain, but we're working to work with classic footballers and see if we can find them in classic packs and stuff. That's the next stage for the channel, to try and grow it further, and then incorporate that into kind of like short form interviews and talk about maybe a famous goal, and maybe even surprise fans. Again, I'll try and find Michael Essien, who I know is a player you find in Futera, in this classic pack. They find him in a classic pack, and then he's behind the curtain or something. Something like that would be quite funny.
Yeah,
and I think it's more than possible to do. You see these kind of a lot of YouTube channels and sports channels kind of do this stuff already, and I think it's a bit bizarre that the card market hasn't really kind of delved into it too much. particularly with the contacts they've got, and particularly what you guys have got, the kind of contact books you've got as well. It's something that probably should be happening and blowing up massively already. And there's so much potential there to do kind of classic, nostalgic videos, talking about a famous goal from Drogba or wherever it may be, and then trying to find them in a classic pack, or getting them to open a classic pack and talk about these players, maybe even rate these players out of 10. All these ideas floated to me already, and I've not had to think about it. That's how talented I am. No, I'm joking. But you know what I mean? There's so much scope there to do whatever. And as you said earlier as well, the players in the 90s and noughties were heroes, because normally a team like Middlesbrough would have that one-star player. You mentioned Juninho before we started recording. He's a hero in Middlesbrough to this day. He is still a hero. That one player. So, yeah, there's so much you can do.
I think you're right. And it's good, actually. I'll talk to you off camera, but I've already set the wheels in motion on some of them concepts. But great advice, shows that we're going in the right direction and we're on the same page, mate. I really appreciate you coming on. Just quickly, this is, I mean, you've done a fair bit of shilling all, but you can continue to do so. So where can people find you if they haven't seen your stuff?
Paolo Panini on TikTok, Paolo Panini official on Instagram, and if you want to join all our breaks and whatnot, Paolo Panini as well.
Really appreciate you coming on, mate. We'll have to do this again. Let's try and get you some help as well with your channel from a Futera perspective. And if you enjoyed this show, remember to like, subscribe, drop a comment if there's anything you've agreed with or disagreed with underneath. And we'll see you again next time on Soccer Cards and Chill. Oh, by the way, head over to Futera.com as well. We've got new releases all the time. Sign up to our newsletter, and then you'll never miss a release. All right, see you the best.